Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Brutes, where we tell the stories behind your favorite beer. This is Sound Guy Ryan, and joining me, as always, is Erica and Matt.
Yeah, we're here.
Oh, yeah.
Ryan, how are you?
We're going.
Yeah, we are.
You're going.
I'm going.
Where are you going?
To Small Pond Studios to record episode 166 of the Brutes podcast.
That's right. It's 166, and we got a big episode for you this week.
Yeah.
We flew to Hawaii
I wish.
via Squadcast.
Yeah.
Squadcast.
Via Squadcast.
And interviewed the brew master of Maui Brewing Company, Kim. And that was an awesome episode. I'm very excited for our listeners to listen to it because imagine living on an island and having a brewery and kind of like a new growing scene. You know, there's a couple big breweries, but the scene's still growing, you know? It's pretty awesome to hear about.
Not just that, but yeah, you're on an island and you have to like buy ingredients way in advance, you know, for a massive production brewery. It's crazy to think about.
It certainly, you know, makes us look at what breweries do here. And like certainly the planning stages and all of that stuff is...
Of course.
There's a lot of moving parts in any brewery that you work at.
But like, you know, last week editions are not unheard of.
Yeah. Also, like... they don't have the opportunity to go and say like, hey, I'm out of hops. Like that's not an option, you know, like in Massachusetts and surrounding states,
Yeah.
like they kind of have that system where it's like, I'm out of grain.
There's
don't
20
worry.
other breweries right around me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's more of they just have to be way more organized and they have to be very, very adaptable.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But also like in the other hand, they do have amazing produce there. So they are able to use like fresh guava, pineapple and stuff that doesn't inherently grow here in this climate. So
Definitely.
with every negative, there's a positive and every positive, there's a negative, right?
It's true.
But huge shout out to our friends Distraction Brewing Company in Roslindale last week. That was an awesome episode. Thank
Tons
you
of fun.
so much, Mike and Laura. And if you get a chance to make your way down to Distraction, let them know that we sent you because we really love that brewery.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Speaking of loving breweries, I went to Notch this weekend. Surprise, surprise.
What?
Yeah, I went to Notch.
That's cool.
And I had their Fire Walk With Me beer, which is their smoked lager.
Ooh, sounds delish.
And it's delicious. I love it.
Do you?
I do. I do. And I had it when it was like 90 degrees out, and it was still refreshing as all hell.
That's awesome.
No, Ryan?
I couldn't do that.
It was really good. It was really good. And, you know, my girlfriend, she got the shandy.
Ooh,
Which,
they have a great shandy there.
really
Yeah,
good.
the Rattler there.
I like.
Yeah, the Rattler. Sorry, the Rattler.
I feel like it's the same thing.
I
Just a
don't know.
different term.
We might be wrong. We might be right. We should find out for next week so we can tell our listeners
Sounds
what's
good.
right.
Stay tuned.
Erica, Ryan, where did you guys go this weekend?
The usual spots. And didn't drink a whole lot.
Okay.
Except right now I'm drinking some Stone Phase. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
Chief.
Yeah, okay, Chief.
Yeah, okay, Chief.
Yeah.
It's fucking really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I am drinking a seltzer from our friends Drecker.
Yeah, they showed us some beer, which was very kind of them.
Yes, thank
Really
you so
appreciate
much. Yeah, and this one is a banana raspberry
Blueberry, white chocolate,
seltzer. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's a little crazy.
It's a little crazy, but it does the job, and I'm feeling weird
Feeling weird.
in a good way. And Erica, what have you been drinking? I see you got that Untapped device up.
It's the best way for me to remember anything. Because I forget all the time.
Her memory's good, it's just short.
Yeah. Yeah, no, actually, this is just from a couple of days ago. I had, it's Dysasia, maybe?
Dysasia, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's how they pronounce that. By Remnant. It was a sour, bottle, barrel-aged project
they're really
they had.
good at that stuff.
Oh my god, killer. Yeah, so good. So I cracked that one open the other day, and it was really good.
Yeah.
Solid.
You know, I am getting excited for a particular beer to come out, and this may or may not be a little teaser for next week's episode.
Oh, is it Gilded Skulls?
It's the Gilded Skulls.
Oh,
beer.
yeah. I saw his video.
Did you see that
It
video
was
yet, Ryan?
so cool.
It's epic. So he's going to be releasing a beer. What is it, in the middle of
so
July?
epic. No, June 15th. Oh, it was
No, it's July 15th. I believe.
Okay.
And Neil, I'm
Okay,
sorry
okay.
if we get
July
the
15th,
date
maybe.
wrong,
Yeah.
but I'm very excited about this. It's going to be one of the bigger releases that they've done. Neil has not done a release in a couple months, so
Yeah, it's been a little while.
and that
so
promo video is
excited.
just like awesome.
You have to get it just for the video.
Yeah. We do.
It's pretty cool.
And you are going to see another collab with Gilded Skull, another brewery,
yeah.
a band, and maybe another podcast.
What?
We'll tell you more
Yeah.
next week.
Dun, dun, dun.
But we want to continue to get amazing episodes like we did with Maui this week. And
Definitely.
the only way that we can continue to do this amazing work that we're doing, pat myself on the shoulder, pat yourself on the shoulder, pat yourself on the shoulder, Ryan.
I'm doing it.
Is what, Ryan?
Go to www.patreon.com/Brews Podcast.
That's right. We also have merch for sale right now, and if you send us a DM or a email at info@breweroots.com, we have multiple sizes for everybody out there. So
Yeah.
just come on. We'll send you a shirt. You also might get a custom shirt that I
Could be
personally
tie-dyed.
reverse tie-dyed.
What?
And I get a lot of compliments on my reverse tie-dye.
No, definitely. It's a really cool shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to kick it over to the episode with Kim from Maui Brewing Company. Team, you got anything else?
Negative Ghost Rider.
Nope. that was
the best. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was
Polar
great.
opposites. I love it. Yeah. So we'll catch you on the outro. Ryan's favorite part.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right. So Erica and Sound Guy Ryan, we are here in finally beautiful Massachusetts.
Yes. It's been a long time coming, I feel like.
It has. Not that the winter itself was gross, but I mean,
I think the whole spring has been kind of gross.
yeah,
I don't
wet
know.
and
yeah, kind of chilly for a long time.
yeah. So today kind of felt like the official start of spring, summer.
Yeah.
You know, I can
Agreed.
certainly tell because of my allergies.
Yeah.
I'm very nasally. But you know, this brewery here, I definitely wish we did a couple months earlier so I could warm up
And like in person.
and in person.
Oh, that'd been nice.
That would have been amazing. But you know, you look on social media and you always see people going on their honeymoons or going on this great vacation.
All the
and
positives. The place
all
is
the
amazing.
place is amazing.
We get it.
We get it. Yeah, we do. And plus, I want to go there. I want to try to surf. I want to get a poke bowl.
Surf. Oh,
which
yeah.
is a Hawaiian delicacy.
Ooh, Hawaiian.
I mean, I might be generalizing because that's all I know about this state. Other than like my mom went there and she talks about it every time I say I want to go on vacation. She's like, you should go to this state. So
Cool.
Erica, where are we today?
We're in Hawaii, and we are interviewing Kim of Maui Brewing Company.
Hey Kim, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Yeah, we're pretty good.
good.
Thanks for
Good.
doing this today. We are very excited to interview a brewery from Hawaii and one that we can actually get out here in Massachusetts. We see your beer in our local liquor stores and in areas that we can buy beer. So it's really cool to be talking to someone who we've actually had your beer and I enjoy your beer. It's a very good beer and it's cool to finally talk to the person behind the beer that we get to enjoy.
Well, thanks for having me. I've been with the company since 2008. This is my second stint with the company. I started like late 2007, early 2008. And then I left in 2012 for San Diego. But my first few years at Maui, I was just a production brewer. I worked like 3 years at the production facility, which we had like a 30-barrel brew house. And then I was promoted to lead brewer of the brew pub, which is like a 7-barrel brew pub up in Kahana. And that was really where I love to be because I got to experiment with different recipes and really hone in what my recipe development skills as a brewer, because 7 barrels at a brew pub doesn't last very long. So I was at least brewing 2 to 3 times a week and changing up the recipes and really trying to dial those in. So it was good times.
That is cool. So we got a great introduction of you. We are curious though, what is your first memory of beer?
Ooh. Well, I didn't really like beer when I was in college. I went to college at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, the central coast of California, and I was actually studying food science and wine chemistry. So I was trying to become possibly a winemaker, and just because the whole central coast is surrounded by vineyards, it's a beautiful place to be. and I tried beer for the first time, and it was probably at like some college party, and it was Budweiser. And it was just, I was like, why does anyone drink this? But Slows had a good spectrum of different craft beers. And I guess my gateway beer was Lost Coast Downtown Brown. And it was, I was like, didn't really know that beer could taste differently than, say, like just a light lager like Budweiser. And I think I went towards that brown ale because it was like smooth, not bitter, had chocolate kind of coffee notes to it. So I was like, that's when I started to really get into craft beer.
Awesome.
Are you originally from California? Are you originally from Hawaii? Where are you from?
I'm from Northern California, just east of San Francisco.
Cool.
Both my parents worked in San Francisco and commuted. But my mom worked for United Airlines, and she would take us traveling all over. We went to a bunch of different countries, but Hawaii was a place that we would go since I was a little kid every year for vacation. So I was like 5 years old, and I told my parents that I was going to live in Hawaii one day. And they're like, you're crazy. And when I was 24, after graduating college and working in the wine industry for a few years, I decided just to take a chance and move out to Hawaii.
Nice. What brought you to Hawaii originally?
I didn't have a job. I actually just had an opportunity. I had a friend that, her parents were moving out here, and I was trying to decide either to do a harvest in Australia or just take a chance and move out to Hawaii. And luckily I had a place to stay, but I didn't have a job lined up yet. I had emailed Garrett a few months before to see if, there was any job opportunities at the brewery. And he was just like, why don't we talk when you get on island? There's a lot of, people come here wanting to have a job, which is totally legit. But sometimes it's easier to hire someone when they're actually physically here. You get to meet them and see them in person. So
I think a lot of the times people get the Instagram view of, and I say Instagram loosely, right? Like everyone has seen photos of their parents at Hawaii, or, a loved one who went on a cruise, or so on and so forth. But what attracted you to Hawaii from such a young age? Obviously, beautiful beaches, the ocean, the culture. But for Kim, what attracted you to Hawaii?
I think it was the ocean, and just how, especially Maui, it feels like a small town. I mean, we don't have cities on Maui. It's just pretty spread out. I live in Kihei, right by the brewery. And I was never a huge partier. I mean, I never really went out to bars very often. And Maui has that small town feel, almost like how San Luis Obispo had in college. And people would always ask me if I ever got island fever or just bored here. Yeah. And actually, I feel less, I guess, claustrophobic in an isolated island than I do in a big city. I lived in San Diego for a little over 4 years, and I loved it, but that's like a city like that was overwhelming for me, and I rather just have kind of a slower pace, less people, and just the vastness of the ocean felt like so non-claustrophobic to me. So I've lived here for almost over 9 years, and I probably still haven't explored every inch of this island, even though it's a pretty small one.
Obviously, Hawaii not known for its beer. When you ask someone, the first thing they think about Hawaii. What's the craft beer scene like out there in Hawaii?
It's definitely a lot better than it was when I first started brewing in 2008. There was craft beer here, but it was just the major brands, Sierra Nevada, Deschutes, Brooklyn, like they would distribute beer here. But there was only maybe less than a handful of brewers brewing in Hawaii, a couple on Oahu, Big Island, and we were the only ones here.
Yeah.
So when I started brewing at the pub, I don't think people really knew what fresh beer tasted like either.
Yeah.
And because by the time it would get here from the mainland, it was at least 3 or 4 weeks old, maybe oxidized at that point. So when they were tasting like a fresh IPA, they were like a little bit put off at first.
Yeah.
You know, they were just like, oh man, this is like a lot of hops, or this is a little bit more bitter, where they were used to that like maybe malty, a slightly oxidized flavor that an IPA was. But it only took a few weeks for them to kind of change their mind and was like, this is what fresh hop, IPAs taste like. And I learned quickly that working at a pub, I probably had 20, 25 beers on the board. And as a young brewer, I would get a little self-conscious if someone didn't like my beer. So I had to quickly realize that I can't make everyone happy. I just have to make a spectrum of beers that would probably suit everyone's taste.
Yeah.
And my biggest challenge is for the non-beer drinkers to make a beer that would change their mind of like what a beer is. And my mom was one of them. She didn't like beer, but a few of my beers that were a little bit lighter, maybe more fruity, less bitter, especially like say kettle sours or Belgian wits. It's awesome to see like the surprise on their face when they're like, this is beer. This is like what beer could taste like.
Yeah.
So that always feels good.
Yeah. Now, Maui is a destination for vacationers, correct?
Yes,
So
definitely. Yeah.
do you have to kind of keep your portfolio of beer, pretty diverse to support, people from
Diverse people. Yeah.
coming to the island to say, like your light lager drinkers, you have your hop heads that may come in, or are you supporting the local drinkers too? How do you balance that, that dynamic?
It was interesting, and I think COVID really defined what maybe tourists were drinking versus the locals. And we were still brewing during COVID, but definitely at a lower pace or a slower pace. And Bikini Blonde, which is our Munich Helles lager, is definitely one of our top core beers, probably about 28-30% of our mix. But Big Swell IPA is around 20 to 25% of the mix. When COVID hit, that percentage of Bikini Blonde went down quite a bit, and Big Swell rose up. And we had no tourists at that point. So that was saying a lot of the locals were still drinking Bikini Blonde, but they were really wanting the Big Swell or like our double IPA.
That's interesting.
Maybe they wanted the more alcohol, like bang for the buck kind of thing.
Do you think that's because the local drinker can't get, those juicy IPAs or whatever IPA styles you're making?
It could be. I think back maybe 10 years ago, or 5-10 years ago, it was that point. But we have a lot of like Oahu brewers, Big Island brewers, and I think Oahu has like maybe over 10 breweries, maybe more than that now. So you can get a lot of local fresh beer pretty easily. And I think for the most part, when people come here on vacation, which our production pre-COVID, about 80% of our production was consumed on the islands. And we did close to 60,000 barrels in 2019. So it was not having tourism last year was definitely a big hit for us. But luckily, everyone loves hard seltzers, and we produced 3 of them, and we actually did about 11 to 12,000 barrels of hard seltzer.
Wow.
During COVID. Yeah.
That's crazy.
All right. So before we get into, the seltzer game and what you guys are brewing and what's going on right now, we have some words from our amazing sponsors. So Ryan, why don't you take it away real quick for us?
Did you know that your favorite Massachusetts breweries use hops from a local family-owned hop farm right here in Massachusetts?
Our friends over at 4 Star Farms are there for you whether you're a commercial brewery or a small batch home brewer.
Make sure to head over to their website today and get your hands on some of the best and freshest hops available locally. Cheers.
At our local homebrew shop, Beer and Wine Hobby, you can get everything you need to make beer, wine, cider, cheese, and more. Not sure where to start? They have knowledgeable staff there to help. Beer and Wine Hobby is family-owned and located in Danvers, Massachusetts. Visit their website, beer-wine.com, and use our promo code BREWROOTS for 10% off your online order today.
Shirts on Tap is the box subscription service for craft beer lovers. Each month, Shirts on Tap partners up with 7 different breweries from across the country and collaborates on a sweet custom shirt design. We've been teamed up with Shirts on Tap since the inception of the podcast and are proud to announce a new promo code for all of our listeners. To get your first shirt for $5 off, go to the link in our description below and use the promo code. And remember, drink better beer, wear better shirts. All right, so we're back, Kim. 2008, when you started in the industry, hard seltzers were not even really a thing, right? I think Mike's Hard Lemonade was like the closest thing to what modern day hard seltzer is. And what's your opinion of hard seltzer? I know we've talked with a lot of local brewers and brewers across the country. We get the answer of, hell no, I'll never make a hard seltzer. And then COVID hit, and there all of a sudden those
Everyone's making them.
Everyone's making them. What's your opinion? What are you doing to delineate yourselves from, the White Claws and, the
hundreds of other
seltzers out there?
Yeah.
So I heard about hard seltzers back at my last brewery. I worked for St. Archer in San Diego. I was one of the founding brewers there. They were acquired by Miller Coors, and I stayed about a year after the purchase of St. Archer, and I got to see kind of behind the scenes of Miller Coors, and it was definitely a learning experience. Everyone was super nice, and I learned a ton. But that was when I heard about they were doing R&D on hard seltzers, and at first I would drink just regular like sparkling water seltzers all the time. So I thought it was kind of crazy and a little gross at first, but I do drink hard seltzers here. We make really good ones. We have a POG version, which is my favorite, and that is passion fruit orange guava, which is kind of it's pretty well known here as just a juice blend that Hawaii is kind of famous for. And then we do a citrus one, which is a blend of like lemon and key lime. And then our most popular one is our dragon fruit, which is dragon fruit and some cherry as well.
Nice.
So,
yeah, I don't want to talk too much about seltzer. I'm more curious about the beer. So you mentioned the IPA, you mentioned the lager that you guys are brewing, but what else are you brewing and on the island?
We do a mix. Like this year, we have 8 can releases, and we kind of change them up every year. We sometimes bring things back, and usually it's a beer that maybe was really popular on a draft release the year before, or it's a collaboration with another brewery. So the 8 releases that we did this year. We did 4, or we are going to do 4 different types of hazies. We've done 2 so far. And the first one was we took our Big Swell IPA and we made it into a hazy version, which was really popular. We kind of focused on the 3 hops that we love in Big Swell, Citrus, Simcoe, and Citrus, Simcoe, and Mosaic. And we used a blend of T90s and Cryo Hops from YCH. So
Nice.
You guys know a little bit about Cryo Hops?
Yeah, a little bit. It's higher alpha, is that right, than regular hops?
Higher alpha, yeah, they have a process, and I think they use some sort of like liquid nitrogen to really concentrate the lupulin in the hops and concentrate it. Either it's twice as strong, but it gets a lot of like the flour, the vegetal matter out of the hop.
Gotcha.
So that the less of that, the less oxidation can also happen. So I think it definitely helps with stability of the beer, but it also just like accentuates the best part of the hops. So we use them a lot in our just regular Big Swell and a lot of our beers.
Nice.
And so we did a hazy Big Swell, which we might bring back occasionally, just draft only. And then we did a collaboration with a brewery called Roadhouse in Wyoming. And we did a hazy IPA with Lilikoi. So we used a bunch of Lilikoi or passion fruit, local, and some purees, and it turned out really, really great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So kind of talking about that, how difficult is it to source everything for all these beers? I mean, you're on an island. I don't know.
Yeah, great question. I was literally
How much is grown there, you know?
Yeah, is fresh hops a thing?
Yeah.
Wet hops.
Yeah, there's a brewery, Big Island Brew House in Waimea on the Big Island, and they grow some of their hops, just small kind stuff. But all of our hops are sourced mostly from Yakima, Washington, and some from Germany, some from New Zealand. But we have to import, on our size, we have to import the hops in.
Yeah.
For malts, we do import malt from Canada, the U.S., and Germany. And from Germany, it comes direct to us, and it probably takes about 18 to 20 weeks for it to come here.
Yeah.
So that's the difficult part, but as long as you get into a rhythm, I've been doing this for years, so sourcing those raw materials is pretty easy for me.
Yeah, you gotta schedule down now.
For like releases that we do, I have to think about bringing things in, 4 or 5 months before we start brewing them. But other than that, I mean, like a lot of fruit grows here. Tropical fruit. We have a lot of citrus that grows here, and so we're lucky in that aspect. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to be brewing a Pog hazy, and we're sourcing most of the guava and some of the lilikoi from a farm out in close to Wailuku.
Cool.
Wow. So is that difficult when a New England style IPA is I'm just more or less asking in like the vein of trends, right? You see lactose IPAs, right? Is it hard to say trends? Like, well, everyone's brewing a lactose IPA, but I can't get that specific hop or that specific malt, so
I'm
going to be 5 months. Yeah, I'm going to be 5 months behind the trend. Which is a fine trend to be behind. Who cares about lactose IPAs? Like, I hate them.
Right.
So, yeah.
I think in Hawaii in general, we're behind the trend in a lot of things. I think we're just so isolated here that's a big reason why I left in the first place. I mean, I was still a brewer that was trying to like become a head brewer, and being on an island felt isolated. So I had to like immerse myself in a community that I felt was the best and the most competitive. And San Diego was that for me. I had, there's thousands of breweries in San Diego. And so I just wanted I just wanted to be like in the center of where it was happening. And Garrett, he jokes that I went to college in San Diego for 4 years, and then I'm back now. I've graduated.
Yeah. So now let's talk about that. So you left to kind of start a new brewery, and that brewery was bought out. I don't think we've ever talked to anyone about that. So that's really interesting.
Yeah.
What was that process like?
It was tough. I mean, I went to San Diego to better myself as a brewer, but I also went to San Diego because I met a girl as well. So
yeah.
Classic.
Classic.
Yeah.
she's now my wife, so it worked out. She's a coffee roaster. She was working in La Jolla at the time, and
Is that the hat you're wearing? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Shout
so
out.
Origin
Give the shout
Coffee,
out. Give the shout out.
Shout out. Our business here, which is actually in the brewery, her roasting facilities in the brewery, and it's called Origin Coffee Roaster. So she focuses on cold brew coffee and whole bean, but we're doing great. So in San Diego, I moved there for a job and for her, and starting a brewery was tough. I mean, we went from 3,000 barrels our first year to almost 30,000 barrels within 3 years. So it was huge growth. It was huge growth.
Yeah.
And luckily I was able to do that with some of my best friends. We had a really great crew. We worked hard, and we all really got along, but the owners decided to sell to Miller Coors, and it was a little bit shocking because we were only 3 years old.
Yeah.
And I was definitely, taken aback by it, but I was trying to keep an open mind about it, and I did a lot of trips to Wisconsin over that year, and just got to learn everything about, maybe not everything, but about Miller Coors and how they run things and the brewers there. And I really only have positive things to say because I was only there for a year.
Yeah.
And they weren't really pushing for things while I was there.
Yeah.
I just knew that.
Can you say the same? Can you say the same for today?
That they didn't change things.
Yeah.
I just know that there's only one person left at St. Archer that of our original team.
Yeah.
So I can't really say what happened. I know it is a struggle when two companies come together and try to align their vision. So I'm not really. I have no comment, I guess. I'm not really sure.
No, you're not privy to it.
Right.
Yeah.
For that year, I mean, what were some of the positives and some of the changes that you saw?
I guess the biggest thing is that my lab budget, I was trying to build a lab at the time at St. Archer, and I think I only had a budget of less than $10,000.
Good luck doing anything with lab equipment. You can buy a microscope.
Right. And Miller Coors, they invest a ton in research and their quality program. So my $10,000 went to over $100,000, which
nice.
That was a huge thing.
Yeah.
And just some of their R&D things, and just visiting their facilities and just to see how the big boys do it.
Yeah.
It was just eye opening for me because I was, at the time I left Maui and what St. Archer was there, it was pretty much manual. We're trying to go towards a little bit more automation, but I never got to see anything on that size scale.
Yeah, that's a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's cool. I guess it was kind of positive for anyways the time that you were there for that. It's interesting.
Yeah. What did you take back from St. Archer's to Maui that, you were saying I worked at Maui for
automation
4 years.
and...
Is that kind of, what did you bring back to Maui that you were like, oh man, I need to do this?
I mean, there's a lot of things. I grew a ton while I was at St. Archer. And I mean, I think the biggest thing I took back was how to be, I guess, a head brewer or manager. I went into this industry not really wanting to be a brewer. I just wanted to make beer, and at St. Archer, I had to grow into a role where I had to lead a team and manage people and, and I think that was a harder transition for me. And that's kind of what I brought back to Maui is trying to work on my leadership skills and try to be that team captain for the crew. So
oftentimes in the craft beer industry, we hear about collaboration. We hear about these Facebook groups or these, Discord chats or whatever, so on and so forth of a brewer, a network of brewers who can share, grain of something. How does that work on an island? Do you have that same kind of network or, I'm sure you experienced that in California, right? Like,
Right. You could go across the street and like borrow some yeast or
yeah,
a bag of
exactly.
malt
Yeah,
from someone.
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, we still do that here, and it's just a little bit less. We have a brewery on island, Kahola, and we try to help them as much as we can if they're low on any kind of supplies, or if we have extra hops. I always email we have a Brewers Guild here, so I'll email the Brewers Guild and ask if anyone's wanting hops for purchase or anything. So It is a little bit harder, and we try to collaborate or like help each other out as we can, but we are separate islands as well, so it gets a little difficult.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, before we dive more into that and, well, everything else, we're gonna do another quick sponsor break. Take it away, Ryan.
Take it away, Ryan.
Are you a solo artist, band, podcaster, or anyone else who needs recording services?
Well, we got a place for you where your vision can become a reality.
Welcome to Small Pond Studios, built by hand with heart and sweat equity by musicians for musicians.
Go to smallpondstudios.io to reach out to get more information. And make sure you let them know that Brute sent you. Hey, Sound Guy Ryan here. Didn't know if you heard, but we're a part of the Hopped Up Network. There you'll find other informative podcasts about beer. So go ahead, follow them on social media, and visit them on their website, hoppedupnetwork.com, to learn more about the people, beer, and breweries from around the country. And until next time, thanks for listening. Cheers.
All right, so we're back with Kim from Maui Brewing. I'm curious, right? Being on an island, what are some of the struggles, obvious struggles of being a brewer on, an island? You don't have a brewery across the street. You don't have a brewery two blocks down the road. What's some of the struggles?
I think the biggest struggle we face is just if equipment goes down or things break, because we're isolated, or it takes a plane flight, or the mail is a little bit slow to get parts out here and to get things in a timely manner. Even raw materials, we really have to prepare, months out to make sure we have the raw materials here, but we don't have too much where, they go bad or, they stale or, so we have to really have that balance. Luckily, with certain things, we can get them locally, like cans. We get cans made locally in Oahu, and they fly over here, or they barge over here.
Nice.
But Garrett has built this brewery knowing that he's, worked in a facility that if something goes down, we can't brew or we can't package. It costs us a lot of money. Yeah. So he built this, our new facility, with that in mind, with redundancies. We have 2 boilers. We have 2 brew houses.
Wow.
We have, 2 air compressors, with sustainability as well. Where we really struggled is with CO2. CO2 is really expensive. And if we missed a shipment or the supplier couldn't deliver, we couldn't package or we couldn't transfer beer. So Garrett is really into finding alternative ways to get CO2. We do have a CO2 recovery system.
Oh, cool.
And
yeah, tell us definitely more about that.
Yeah, so we worked with Hoffman's Pentair, and they built a recovery system inside of a shipping container. It's this blue shipping container, and they dropped it at our facility. It's cool. Plumbed into all of our outdoor fermentations, fermenters, and anytime we have active fermentation, we can capture that CO2. We filter it just to get any impurities out, like yeast, moisture, sulfur compounds, and then it goes through 3 stages of compression and then distilled back into liquid CO2 for our use.
That's
That's
super
so
cool.
cool. Yeah, that's wicked cool.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Would you normally have to like ship in CO2, or do you have a place there that's
Producing. Yeah.
producing it?
There's a plant in Oahu but it like we still have to order some, and we still do supplement some of our
Yeah.
use with them. But it's just nice to be able to not be 100% dependent.
Right, not have to worry about it too much.
Yeah.
And the way we can recover CO2, it's more pure than how our supplier can manufacture CO2.
That's cool. And then you're also a solar brewery as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have the whole roof and the parking awnings, our tasting room, all covered in PV solar.
Nice.
We have 21 Tesla batteries, and
Sweet.
we're able to brew with the sun. In a couple weeks, or hopefully this week, we're commissioning a solar thermal to heat and cool water for our brewing process too.
Awesome.
Holy cow.
Yeah, so we'll see how that commissioning goes, and
Yeah.
but that's going to be huge for us, just to get hot and cold water on demand from the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You mentioned you get cans from Oahu, right?
Mm-hmm.
You guys are still in the 12-ounce cans, correct?
We are.
Is that the form factor that's just, more attractive for the local Hawaii market, or why haven't, or is there a reason?
Why not 16 ounce?
16
Yeah.
ounce cans. Yeah.
Right. So the Oahu plant,
Because you have those
pre-COVID,
ridges on them, right? Your
Right.
your cans are pretty unique.
so the mainland cans are a 202 can. That was what Ball produces on the mainland. Here is a 206, and it was what cans were like for probably in the 1950s, 1960s, somewhere in the 19. I'm going to be making up these numbers. So
Yeah.
don't
Sounds great though.
fact-check
Keep
me on
going.
this. I think in the 1970s, maybe earlier, to save aluminum, Ball started tapering their cans to save like trillions of pounds of aluminum. That's when they went to the 202. The Oahu plant here was only producing maybe 2 to 3 days a week at that point. So there was no reason, or they didn't want to invest the money to upgrade their equipment for a plant that was barely producing. So that's why they always stuck with the 206 cans. But during COVID, there was a shortage on the mainland of aluminum and cans. So the Oahu plant started producing cans for the mainland as well. So they're probably up to like full time now.
Wow.
There might be an upgrade of cans in the future of the 202 for them. We're still waiting to hear on that. So our cans in the future might change to what the mainland cans are.
Wow.
All right.
But they only produce the 12-ounce cans, and that's it.
Gotcha.
So the first beer I've had from you guys was the coconut porter, and I always laughed because I was like, I don't ever think I want to drink a porter in the summer, right? And that beer makes it out to our area quite a bit. Is that people drinking porters in 90-degree weather, 80-degree weather?
Mostly visitors, because they'll taste the coconut porter, in California or on the mainland, and they're like, I want to taste it at the source because I love this beer, so I want to taste it like at the brewery. So mostly coconut porter is in our, it's probably like our third or fourth of our mix in rank wise, but actually the beer that people like the most is our Imperial coconut porter.
Ooh.
So a regular coconut porter is 6%, and it has around 4 pounds per barrel of toasted coconut that we toast in house.
Yeah.
But our Imperial coconut has over 10 pounds per barrel of coconut and is 9% alcohol.
Yeah.
So it's a delicious beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, definitely.
I'm sure your brew house smells terrible when you're brewing that too, right? It's like they're the worst smell ever. It's always interesting, Hawaii being the vacation location that it is, and supporting the local, local patrons. we always want our listeners to kind of go out and explore these places safely, when COVID and you're vaccinated, so on and so forth. But, being a local to the area for as long as you've been there, where are places people should go and where, like, outside of where you are?
Yeah, like what
Outside.
Like, what's
dive
your
bars,
dive bar, best place
the
to
best
get a
place
hamburger?
for a burger.
Yeah.
I think it's been sad but great in the same point with like COVID, because things closed down and maybe chefs were out of work, so they started opening up maybe their own food truck or their own kind of like food window. There's this place called Havens that just opened up in Kihei down the street from the brewery, and they're in a gas station, and it's just like this
cool.
walk-up window. And they do a kind of a fusion between like smash burgers and like Asian food. So they have like saimen and ramen and
Nice.
Tamaki, which is like a sushi roll with nori, but they also have like delicious burgers. So that's a place that I actually went there yesterday. It was pretty good.
That's cool.
I think it's packed though. Usually like the best place I don't go out very often, but I always will go out to Monkey Pod because their Mai Tais are the best. They have really strong drinks, but yeah, their Mai Tai, they have this passion fruit foam on top, and it just like makes it great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm into that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's cool. So kind of like throughout your whole entire career here, has there been any kind of like specific education that you've done, different, I don't know, scholarship kind of things that you've gone to like learn more about brewing, or have you just kind of learned on the job as you've gone?
I definitely learned on the job as I was going. There's a lot of trial and error that happens with brewing. Other brewers are really open to share ideas as well, because I think we all face that thing where we don't want other people to fail. Like we failed enough that I'm like, I'll help you out.
Yeah.
And that's the best part of our industry.
Definitely.
But there's seminars that I've gone through over the years, Craft Brewers Conference. I go to hop selection every year, and they always do a hop school. And last year there was a bunch of podcasts, seminars, and conferences online. So those are huge for us here, especially that can't travel as much. And pre-COVID too, we would get a ton of brewers coming to visit. Maybe like every other week there would be a brewer that would come to visit, and I would try to coax them to come to the brewery and do a talk story session with the brewers, just so that they would have they could explain their brewery and maybe a specific process that they specialize in. And it was nice for the brewers to kind of have that, just as we are isolated here and we aren't able to travel as much.
Definitely. So kind of really along that vein, collab beers. Do you guys do a lot of collab beers with different breweries there on the islands, or is that even a thing?
You mentioned Wyoming earlier. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Wyoming?
Right. We love doing collaborations. There was 2 years ago, we did 4 releases with 4 breweries as a collaboration. So we try to do it as much as possible. I think people come here and they're like, I'm coming to visit, let's collab. Yeah. So it's easy to
I'm on vacation.
for us to, right, exactly. So we do a lot, and I think it's a way to learn different techniques, and almost sometimes I get stuck in the same routine of what I do. So it's nice to kind of break that routine and see what other people are doing and kind of try new things. So
definitely.
For sure.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. All right. So this is the end of the interview. Ryan.
Just about.
Do you have an amazing question for us? You don't want to ask that question?
He's got no questions.
I'm going to ask it.
All right.
So, is there one thing in the brewing world or in the business world that you want to learn more of?
I think I've been kind of transitioning my role or my passion a little bit over the last year. I was super focused on, driving creativity and recipe development. And I'm trying to move that focus to the brewers and really mentor them in making the recipes and driving that. I'm getting older, so I want the young kids to come up with those new trends. And I'm more getting into process development, efficiency, like trying to make the brewery run as best as it can.
Yeah.
Because that's a new challenge for me that I haven't been doing over the last, like at least focusing on for the last few years. So I'm really into that and just process development and trying to make everyone's job easier and just more consistent.
Definitely.
Cool.
Is there a like a mainland beer that you can't get that you wish you could?
Ooh,
That's a great question.
there's probably a lot of them.
Right.
Luckily, though,
Like what you don't know, you don't know.
Right. Yeah,
That's right,
it's true. It's true.
I know. Luckily, there's so many people that visit and bring beer all the
that's
time.
cool.
That's
So
right.
yeah,
Nice.
and typically they bring it right from the brewery, so it's like the freshest
Yeah.
it can be. So we're actually pretty spoiled because I don't even remember the last time I actually bought beer.
Yeah, yeah.
The
It's a good problem to
perks.
have. Yeah,
Right,
it's a good
right.
problem.
Right.
That's cool.
Yeah. Do you have any guilty pleasure beers at home?
Guilty pleasure beers. I really love the beers from Rare Barrel in Berkeley, California. They do sour beers, but they're typically on the lower ABV, and they have always like nice subtle fruit. They're not like over the top, and I've been holding it for a little bit, but they're Map of the Sun, which is an apricot sour.
Ooh.
Stone fruit sours are some of my favorite. And
Yeah.
it's just like super drinkable without being like overwhelmingly sour and, overwhelming your palate.
Right. Apricot's kind of like a weird flavor too. I feel like it's not always.
Yeah, we tried to brew a beer and it sucked with apricot. So yeah.
Was it a sour beer or just like a normal?
No, Ryan, what was it?
It was a blonde.
It was a blonde with apricot.
Um,
Yeah.
I think sometimes like it could be very muddled and just, I think
Right.
the acidity kind of brings it up and kind of brightens the fruit a little bit.
Noted.
Take notes, Ryan.
Yeah,
Take
yeah.
notes.
We'll try it again.
So, Kim, we want people to go to the brewery in Hawaii. Can you give us a specific location of the brewery so people can go on their next vacation?
Yeah, so we have two locations, but the main location is in South Maui in Kihei at 605 Lapoa Parkway. We have a restaurant here, and we have tours every day now. So yeah, come on. And we actually have a lot of outdoor seating.
Nice.
We have these huge doors that go up, and there's like a garden area and the picnic benches. So there's a lot of people have been coming out just because they feel safer and just more out. You want to be outside
Yeah.
when you're in Hawaii, and we probably have one of the biggest outdoor seating for restaurants here, and we have live music occasionally too. So it's just nice atmosphere.
Cool. And in the mainland, where
Oh,
can
I
we...
actually had a question.
Before this? Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What's the best? What's the best meal to get at the restaurant with beer? What's your go-to pairing for? We want insiders like
Yeah,
they
there you
go.
go. There you go.
What's the insiders take?
Ooh, we have a lot. We have really good fish and chips, which with our Bikini Blonde or Pilsner, that goes really well. But I actually really like our jalapeno bacon burger because it's like salty,
Ooh.
and I eat that. I drink that with our Pueo Pale Ale, which is like a 5.5% pale ale with Citra and Simcoe.
Yeah.
It's super drinkable, and it goes well with that burger.
Ryan, we got to get burgers tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sold.
We're sold on burgers now.
She's mentioned it at least twice now.
Oh, it sounds so good. Well, and on the mainland, where's the
Where can we get your beer?
where can we get your beer?
If you go to our website, mauibrewing.com, there's like a beer finder page, and you can,
Okay.
wherever you're at, I think you can type in your zip code, and it'll show you where you can find our beer. So
Perfect.
hopefully, we only distribute to, I think, about 19 to 20 states now, mostly focusing on the West Coast, but we are, on the East Coast as well.
Yeah.
So
Perfect.
Yeah, I've definitely seen your beer in the liquor stores around here, so
Yeah.
I try to
can
grab
get
it
it.
when I can.
Nice. Yeah. Cool. Well, my last question. Always
Best
like to,
question.
maybe the best question. What are you most proud of?
Oh, in general or just in brewing?
Yeah, whichever way you want to take it.
Let's see. That's an interesting question. I guess I'm most proud of just where I am, I guess, in life in general. I think, I'm 37 years old and have been a brewmaster for 2 breweries, which, I've been very focused and, passionate about what I've been doing. And, I think when I'm into something, I eat, sleep, drink it, until I get to a certain point. And I just feel lucky that I'm at the point I am in my life and how successful I've been. And I get to live in an awesome state and have my life here,
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'm jealous.
I love it. Yeah.
So I think it's safe to say that we need to make a road trip, boat trip, flight
Roots,
trip
road-
to
yeah.
to Kim at Maui Brewing Company and
Definitely.
just take up
Should.
the amazing culture that's in Hawaii because yes, they have amazing beaches, the ocean, but it's really the people that
It's more than that.
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
really a special place in my mind, and we can't wait to hang out with you and see you soon.
You'll never want to leave
Yeah.
if you
Yeah,
come.
I know. See, that's the problem.
Yeah, we're a little scared to come
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, my girlfriend would be like, "You can't go. You can't go." Ryan, we'll have to eat one of those burgers together, right? Ryan
Definitely.
agrees.
Yep.
Well,
Great. Well, thank you so much, Kim. Really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
and we hope to see you soon.
Cheers.
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 All right, it's the outro, and we don't have much to say during the outro other than we have an awesome episode with our friend Widowmaker, Gilded Skull, Vox and Hops podcast, and the band Summoner.
What was the band name again?
Summoner.
Summoner. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, what did I say?
Summoner.
Yeah.
It sounded like you were trying to get something out of your throat or something.
Yeah, I was just
I just
trying
wanted to
to.
make sure
band.
that our listeners knew what the actual name was.
I was just trying to sound metal, but
You could say it normal and I can come in and be like, Summoner.
that's right. So yeah, you can catch that episode next Friday, and we hope you guys have a great weekend.
The best weekend.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.